do have an appointment coming up with genetic services, there's a few things you can do to help yourself prepare for this appointment. And depending on the service, sometimes phone calls happen prior to your appointment or extensive paperwork is sent out to capture a lot of this information. Other times it may be done actually at the appointment itself. So before attending your session, it can be really helpful to find out as much as you possibly can about the medical history and the people in both sides of your family. Because this sort of information is going to be explored in the appointment. So this might include, just really knowing your family members, who's who. Dates of birth and full names are amazing if you've got them. If not, even rough age. And if you don't even have the rough age, at least the rough decade. So whatever you do know is useful. Any sorts of major health conditions that are affecting any family members or have affected them in the past. If that has happened, the age of onset or the age of diagnosis is really useful. And this is where genetic services will always go beyond just mito. They will be interested to know about cancers, about heart conditions, about unexplained or early deaths, any learning difficulties, neurodegenerative conditions. So kind of anything. If you know anything at all about a family member, it's worth sharing that information. We also ask about reproductive health, which would include information on miscarriages, not just of any of your own, but of family members, and information about the cause and age of deaths of any family members. So in addition to this, it would also be looking for more information about your own medical history. So what testing have you had? What are your symptoms? When did these appear? All of that information, which of course you would have told your own medical specialists many, many times, but it's important to repeat it all here. It's also a really great idea to write down any questions that you might have in advance of your appointment. Particularly, as we know, many in the mito community do suffer sometimes of fatigue and mental fatigue and memory challenges. And thinking about these things in advance and writing them down can be really helpful so that you don't forget to ask something important to you on the day. When you, just to go back briefly, you'll see the picture on the right is kind of how we grow up thinking about families, and you think about this family tree and all the branches of the tree and your relatives. Well, when it comes to genetics, we have a very specific way of drawing families. So I've actually just included one in there, pedigree of a family with a traditional mitochondrial inheritance pattern. Just representing that it's whilst you are sharing your family story with a genetic counsellor, they will be making notes and they will be sketching out a family, what we call pedigree, just like this, and annotating that with notes as they go. It's our shorthand of capturing that family tree and your information. So an initial appointment, you've probably had a phone call or a series of paperwork to complete beforehand. And that appointment is going to be somewhere between 1 to 2 hours, most likely. And it may involve a clinical geneticist, that's the CG, or a genetic counsellor, or even other medical specialists as well, just depending on how it works with where you have gone. If you've actually gone to a metabolic genetics clinic, there may be a metabolic physician as well as the genetics specialists there. Generally, a session will start with the opportunity for you to ask any of your burning questions or share what your concerns are and what you're really hoping to get out of the session. They will usually, I've just realised I've missed a dot point there, then the genetic counsellor will take that record that we just discussed before about your medical history, your family history, and get all of that on paper. Then they're probably going to provide the information that they know about the condition, how it can affect family members, how it's inherited in your family, how to manage the condition, and any relevant support services, such as Mito Foundation, and research opportunities. They may ask you or offer genetic testing. Some services can actually do blood collection at the same time. Others will let you think about if it's right for you, or write you a blood collection form to be done at a clinic of your choice later on down the track. So, and then they'll also be talking about, like we said before, the support and the counselling to help you make decisions that have been offered or figure out what is right for you and your family. Now, because there's so much information discussed in these appointments, we know it can be an awful lot to remember. So it's pretty much standard practice that any appointment at Genetics, you will receive a letter, quite detailed, after the appointment, which just captures pretty much the key things that were discussed and any of that additional information. Often there's other resources included as well. And there's always a plan made for what happens next, whether you will be seen again, if you're having genetic testing, how will the results be disclosed, what monitoring or surveillance or other medical specialists will be involved in your journey. So hopefully when you finish at a genetic counselling appointment, you have an idea of everything that's gone on, but also of everything that's going to happen next. It's a great idea to bring someone with you to a genetic appointment. They might be there for support. They might be there to take out for a coffee or a walk after the appointment if there's things on your mind. They might be there just as a second memory to remember some of the details that were discussed, even though you do get that letter. But it's really lovely to have someone with you during that appointment.